This video is going to be more personal because I want to share with you how I overcame my sugar addiction a couple years ago in 2018 as a person without any special skills, knowledge or support, as a person with decades of flour and sugar eating under the belt, somebody who was addicted to it severely. And I'm recording it because maybe there is somebody who wants to get over. The pigeons outside are behaving really strangely. Maybe you are somebody who thinks that you are powerless when it comes to food, and I want to just show you step by step how I have done it, what was involved, and why I have done it. So in 2019 and 20, I deepened my knowledge when it comes to weight loss and nutrition, even though I knew something before that. But of course, there is a lot of myths that are still circulating in our knowledge about food. So some stuff is still confusing to people. So right now, I would probably add a couple more tools to my arsenal of tools to overcome sugar addiction. But before that, I maybe took longer time, but I did it gradually. I am also recording it because 2018 I broke the addiction, 2020 came, March 2020, it seemed like the world is ending, so I baked a cake, natural thing you do, you know, and it seemed like I just gained 8 pounds. But this is not about weight loss. This is not a video about weight loss. This is just video about how to handle the change gradually, how to handle it mentally. I allowed myself to eat more, and this is how I got hooked on it again. At this moment, the end of June, I got over the worst and I am on my way to freedom. And this is really emotional freedom. Comparing to what I was going through in the past, this is freedom. I changed my sugar identity. You really have to become a different person. You will not want to become the different person because it seems scary, but in order to have the physical changes, we need to change the thinking. And if somebody would tell me several years ago that I will become somebody who is not excited about chocolate, she would not even enjoy it. A person that is not excited about pasta and potatoes, I would not even want to become that person. Because why? What's the reason? These are one of the best joys in life, right? The stuff we eat. And yet, it happened. And it's also interesting how you can see certain things only in a rearview mirror. And this is exactly what I'm doing right now, because I was doing it intuitively, all the tools that I came up with at that point, because it was before my weight loss training. I was just coming up with them as I struggled with the addictions and challenges. So let me give you an overview who I was before. How did I know that I have sugar addiction? Even a couple of years ago, I was thinking about chocolate cake and I noticed how my personality is changing. I wasn't changing into a werewolf or anything, but internally, I would throw those tantrums. I realized, wow, my personality is changing, my psychology is changing as I am thinking about this chocolate cake. This really concerns me. One of the reasons why I decided to drop sugar is, well, it's hard to recall all the reasons, but first of all, I knew that this is bad. I knew that this is bad for the bones, cardiovascular system, and joints. Sugar, flour, bad for the skin. Of course, I wanted to lose weight, and I was dealing with chronic pain. And I know that the sugar is a neurotoxin. But before that, for decades, I was eating whatever I wanted. And in my late 30s, for example, when I woke up and opened my eyes, I was thinking, I was obsessing, do I have chocolate in my house? Do I have something, and if I don't, do they deliver? Do the stores deliver? Last time I was eating three chocolates a day. I was eating cookies in the afternoon and basically a lot of carbs. And ice cream also. Before that, in my early 30s, I was doing something I didn't want to do. I was working in sales and I really hated it. And I was medicating myself with sugar. We go to food to feel something. We go to food to feel certain feelings and numb other feelings. Feel positive feelings and numb the negative feelings we do not want to feel. So of course I was doing that. In my 20s, I ate like pounds of cookies a day. In my early 20s, in the college, I was eating carbs in the morning. Lunch was a Snicker bar, imagine that. And I ate a ton of French fries. And in the evening, I would probably have pasta. Of course, wine and cheese, stuff like this. So I was not eating any meat or almost no meat. And in my teen years, I would be eating again pounds of cookies, or I remember because I loved reading books, so you eat and read, and it's just so comforting. You are in a different zone. I remember one day I ate 10 thick slices of bread with butter and sugar. Nobody stopped me, nobody said anything, and it was normal. It was normal to eat cakes, a lot of cake, at least once a week, and there was simply no limit on cookies and sweets. Fast forward to 2018 or so, I decided I don't want to do it, and I already gave you the reasons why. Now I have more reasons, because now I know what sugar does to the body. And this is what I started doing. So there were 4 tools, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 tools that looking back, that I realized I used. So my mind had to do a lot of work. First, I had to identify the trigger. That was the most important thing. So, what is the trigger for you, for example? When do you tend to eat more sweets? Sometimes when people feel lonely, they eat a lot of sweets in the evening. When you have a lot of overwhelm, you will just stop doing everything and just eat, maybe in your car. On some days when I was driving around taking care of business, I ate most of my meals in the car, and some of them were simply big bags of corn chips. And now I don't crave corn chips, which is actually, are you still a human if you do not crave corn chips? I don't know. That shows you how free you can be from the food addictions. So I identified the trigger. The trigger was doing something I don't want to do, driving around town, taking care of business, fulfilling some obligations like from the previous life, and I really didn't like to do this. So I'm getting to the car and I'm immediately thinking, who has the best pastries? Where can I stop by on the way to get something sweet? And in my mind, I already had this map of, here's the coffee shop, here's the pastry shop, here's the store, I can get this here, this here. So, oh my gosh, it took so much energy, so much internal fight to not go there. And I would come to the intersection where I would have to take a turn to that place, and I would just fight with myself not to turn, to go there. As I was driving through the intersection, I was regretting that I didn't allow myself to go there. Can you see the inner drama that was going on? And this is all the impact of flour sugar addiction. I don't think it means anything about our personality. It simply means something about how the body is addicted to those substances. I was using also delay, right? So sometimes I would just delay going there, but on the way back, I would make sure that I stop by and have something. Using just the delay and talking myself out of it, I came to a point when 80% of the time I would not eat it. The times I would eat it were times when I would not even think about it. I would not use my prefrontal cortex, I would use my thinking mind to talk myself out of it. In the beginning of the sugar addiction, you may find yourself finishing eating something, and only after you finished, you ask yourself, why did I eat it? I didn't need it. Why did I even eat it? I didn't have to eat the whole package. But this awareness is the first step. When you have this awareness after you ate a whole package of cookies or sweets, the improvement is catching yourself in the middle of it. Or maybe catching yourself just before you take the last bite and putting away the last bite. If you really struggle with putting away this last bite, this only shows you, because this gives us a spike of dopamine, your brain will want to convince you that this is a very important thing to eat flour and sugar. Unfortunately, it isn't. This is what kills us. I mentioned delay, talking myself out of this, asking questions. Do I really need it before I bought it? Do I really need it? Am I hungry? Do I need to eat the whole thing? And the quality of your questions will determine the quality of your answers. So, for example, if there was a package of some candy bar, normally you buy the candy bar and you eat the whole thing. But why? Just because they package it in this size of bars, it doesn't mean that you have to eat it all. Just because the food is out there, it doesn't mean you have to eat it. So I started, for example, cutting this one, my favorite candy bar. I would start to cut it in 5 slices. So I would just eat a half-inch slice of this chocolate-covered coconut bar. And that was enough. That started giving me enough satisfaction. So it's almost like with tapering the medicine that is addictive. You just need to go slow and create the gradual improvement. So again, gradual improvement, delay, asking better questions, and using the mind, maybe with, taking a different road. Sometimes I was fighting with the urge to eat something sweet for a couple hours a day. And I simply decided that if it will cost me so much time and energy to fight with the desire to eat a cookie, I'm just going to have the cookie. And if I manage to enjoy it mindfully, I will just eat the whole thing. So you see, I created this balance between really putting effort into it, but also allowing myself to save my mental energy for something else and still have it from time to time. The progress was not linear. For example, I would not eat any sweets for long several weeks, and then suddenly I would want something, and I would go to my favorite pastry shop, buy 2 pastries, and I would just go to the parking lot and eat it in the car, enjoying every bite of it. And then again, I would put more effort, and I would have again long several weeks of not eating such big quantities. So how did I arrive to the place? How did I know that I am over sugar and flour addiction? Again, awareness. I realized that sometimes before somebody would tell me about some artisan chocolate, and I would have tears in my eyes imagining eating it. And right now it can be in front of me and it's just an indifferent object, I don't have to eat it. I realized that certain things became so boring. The excitement about pasta, simple carbs, or candy is no longer there, and I feel this emotional freedom, and this is how I realize that I am free of that. So cravings were gone completely. I am no longer craving, for example, corn chips, which was a big thing for me. However, I still do have urges sometimes, urge to eat something, but I would say it's about 5% of what it was before. And even yesterday, I was going through the store, I was shopping, and I caught milk chocolate with the corner of my eye. And I felt this, it's urgent, I need to have it. And then I questioned that thought. You know how they say, don't believe every thought you think? That's a good example. Thinking about sweets. I really didn't need that chocolate. Sometimes I know that I'm supposed to eat something, but I don't even know what I want because I have no cravings. And it might sound terrifying to you, but actually I think it's freedom to choose the healthy stuff. And urges are down 95%, I would say. So the most important thing is, the most important lesson and experience is that I am not powerless. It's no longer the center of attention in my mind. We change the sugar identity and also fat identity when we lose weight. We are no longer people that eat sugar. What I would do differently right now is, having those tools that I have right now, I would add more work, more emotional work. What is this about? For example, in the past, and I'm doing it right now when I have the urges, but in the past I would want to eat those pastries and those sweets because I wanted to numb a painful feeling, like boredom. And disappointment with myself, for example. And I would go after a positive feeling, comfort, safety, certainty, and calm. But now I know that I can create that without the food. Now I am ending my sugar addiction again, which simply shows me that I can end addiction, start it again, and end it again, this time faster, because now I have the tools and now I have no doubt that I can do it. So right now I still can allow myself to eat a little bit of that, very, very small quantities, but if I do, I know that I cannot have it for several days or a week or so, because then when I repeat it every day, then I will get addicted to it again and I will start craving it, and I will come back to this place of being losing my emotional freedom around food. So that was my story of freeing myself from sugar addiction. If you have any questions about it, right now at this point I have many more tools. Ask me anything. I can either respond just making another video, or I will respond to you in the email. All my information is below. So I hope that gave you a little bit more hope that you can also free yourself from sugar flour addiction. See you next time.